Hello and welcome to another thrilling edition of the Locker Room on Voice of the People Television. I am Jerry Arpeliohai. I've got a very interesting show for you today as it promises to be exciting. And joining me today is the usual suspect. Ikechukwu is unavoidably absent, but definitely we have Maiwa who gets to join us virtually and is ready to break down all the action and share his hot takes on what's going down in the world of football. But nothing exciting is really happening at Old Trafford and, of course, at Grimsby. Grimsby is the new name. Someone says it's Green Beans. That's football for you. And of course, the banters have started. And don't forget to stay tuned, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't get to miss an episode of The Locker Room for those who are watching us on YouTube and on LCL TV channel 264. And of course, don't forget you can join us via the WhatsApp number showing on your screen to join the conversation. Maiwa, I will not ask you how's your day going, how was your night last night. I know it has been a topsy-turvy one. I don't feel your pain. I understand your pain. Maiwa, it's great to join us. Great to have you join us. Please unmute your mic so we can hear you.
It's always amazing to be here. It's a very sad situation. I knew you were calling me like 4 or 5 times. I saw the cover. I couldn't pick it up because I knew what you were going to say. I knew what you were going to say. I knew yesterday was your night to cook and you successfully cooked. Bottom line is this. I think Ruben Amorim does not know what he's doing. And that's just the honest truth. How do you explain not playing some of your key players when you know that this game is very, very important? There is no justification for Manchester United to go 2 goals down against a Grimsby League 2 side. That's number 2. Onana should never wear Manchester United jersey again. I think it's high time Onana leaves. I don't think he embodies what Manchester United is all about. I think his continuous stay in the team is a slap to De Gea. I don't understand the reason why, and I'm not blaming Eritrea for this. I mean, I'm not blaming Amorim for this. Rather, Eritrea brought in Onana. However, Onana is a shadow of himself. He was one of the highest conceding goalkeepers last season. He was one of the highest conceding goalkeepers 2 seasons ago. And yesterday again, 2 of the goals, the 2 goals he conceded during the 90 minutes was from schoolboy error. The bottom line is this: Onana should never play for Manchester United. Now come to the defense. Carlo, Maguire, Ugarte, and the rest of them, they didn't live up to the feeling yesterday. It was a disgrace that the League 2 side will take out the Manchester United. And congratulations to Grimsby. I mean, the fairy tale continues. You would expect Manchester United to win, but Manchester United could not cut it. As for me, I think the next 2 games are very, very critical for Ruben Amorim. If he does not grind out a result, if he does not grind out a win, I think he should be fired before the end of October.
All right. He should be fired. Okay. I don't know the explanation that Amorim wanted to give as far as losing that game is concerned, because it's really appalling. As I said, the first half, Grimsby even fumbled. They were leading by 2 goals to 0. And the fact that all the key players he bought this season played in that match, that even makes it even more worrisome. At the point he went to his board, whether was it his chessboard or is a toy, he was playing with. Maybe he was confused, or maybe the man is having mental breakdown. I don't know, because at the point I was wondering, what was he doing with that? Was he trying to do some voodoo work, or I don't know? And he couldn't even watch the penalties, so that
I think he was very nervous. He knew what he did. To be honest with you, Manchester United had no business to go into penalties, and even we were so lucky that we equalized. There was no reason for Manchester United to equalize. That's just the honest truth. It was also unfortunate that those guys, the Grimsby guys, they decided to step off the gas and defended. Even at that, they had a couple of chances that they were supposed to bury, if not for the intervention of some of our defenders at the last minute, because Onana was not up to it. I think the job is bigger than Ruben Amorim. And if we are being honest with ourselves, the decisions he had made so far it's an indication that probably maybe the job is bigger than you. I mean, how do you play 30 games? You lost 18, win 7, draw 5, and you want to take Manchester United to the next level? How do you have players of such quality, apart from about three players that were not regular? Majority of those that started that game, they were regulars. Why can't you find a way to ensure you get the best out of those players? Is it every day we'll be complaining about the pattern of play? We are playing a League 2 side, and we defended all through the first 30 minutes. For a Premier League club, it shows how the mighty has fallen. And I don't think Ruben Amorim knows what he's doing. The job is bigger than him. I don't think it's the manager that will take us forward. He will just be doing a shoddy job and be doing fast work. And probably maybe at this rate, I don't think we will finish in the first half of the table this season. I think we'll probably be struggling in 15th or 16th if we continue with what I'm seeing at the moment.
All right. Okay. I know. I understand. I would have loved Amorim to stay to the end of the season. Just not because I love Manchester United, but because I would like to see more episode of Crispy. Because now you're out of the Carabao Cup, and I don't know if FA Cup is loading. He might be out anytime soon, and he has already said that he doesn't want to play in Europe next season. I don't know how true that is. So it means that he is planning to finish between 10 and 16 and 17. Okay? The man has great plans. I don't know. Let's talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, where the head coach of the senior national team, talking about Eric Chell, will cut players from his present list of players for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers games against Rwanda and South Africa, respectively. Chell will make the decision after the round of games this weekend in Europe, with the Nigerian Football Federation pushing to have the coach name a 25-man list as against his desire of a 23-man list. And of course, NFL feel the fact that some players are walking the thin line of suspension could see some players miss the crucial second game of the series away to group leaders South Africa. And yeah, this thing, it looks very serious. And that means you have to wait and see. Hope the players will not pick injuries this weekend before he makes his final decision. But it's good. He has thrown open a 35-man roster. It's now left for him to decide on what he needs to do. Maiwa, it's a very delicate situation for him.
Well, it's a very delicate situation. You don't know which of the players. And I'm really hoping that, majority of the key players that we've highlighted are very, very important for us. The likes of Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, because of our defensive situation, a Chrisantus Uche, a Victor Osimhen, and a couple of them. We hope, Anua Bali, we hope they don't pick up injuries, because if they pick up injury, it will be very, very difficult for us to find a replacement for them at the moment. I mean, he has a list of 35. He can play around with 10 names. However, the question is, who are the 10 names he's going to drop? I hope, it's not, we don't have a list that will contain the likes of Umar Sadiq, who has not been in fantastic form for his club. I hope we don't have a list that contains such player to play for Nigeria. I hope we don't have a list, that contains, and this is not a shot at Ademola Lookman. I hope we don't have a list that contains, an Ademola Lookman that is struggling for match fitness at the moment. I think I hope he makes the right decision, because the players that are going to play in that particular match, will determine if we are going to qualify for the World Cup. Players are on a yellow card. How does he handle the indiscipline in that particular thing? Because it shows the level of indiscipline. It shows that the players are not well disciplined enough to avoid getting, yellow card. And any further caution in the next game will probably, hamper us in the next qualifier, because those key players will not be available. How will navigate this will show, how tactically sound he is in that particular qualifier. But in any case, let's see what the list will look like after the 10 names. I hope, those that will make the list are there based on, based on their performance, and not on sentiment, and not on slot.
Yeah, definitely a lot of sentiment. And if you take a look at that list, I'm not saying Chidera Ejuke. And just some few days ago, he lined up for his club side Sevilla alongside Akko Adams, who Akko Adams is also one of the newly invited players in the team. And if you take a look at the setup, we hear that the Sevilla striker won't be part of the senior national team of Nigeria for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers after picking up a muscle injury just some days ago that will keep him out of action. And what that means is that there's more vacancy in the team, and hopefully, maybe sadly, we might be having more. This is already a bad sign. And the fact that some players are on a yellow card, and if they pick up anyone against Rwanda, they might not be available in the game against South Africa. So it's a difficult situation for Eric Chell to be able to look at the players critically and make the right decisions. I hope he has a setup, talking about a backup of assistant coaches, the technical department of the NFF, and talking about his own assistant to make sure that he makes the right decision, because a tree alone, they say, cannot make a forest.
Well, I mean, you mentioned technical. Department of the NFF. Remember, we spoke extensively about this yesterday. The NFF has shut out Eric Chell. They are not talking to him, and it was, one of the frustration is him coming out to say it. And the NFF have come out to debunk that rumor. And you and I know they are just doing that just to pacify, fans that are very angry with them. I don't think there is a constant communication with, the technical department of the NFF. And I will give you the reason for that. The World Cup qualifier did not start today. Eric Chell did not start taking Nigeria. Did not start becoming Nigeria coach yesterday. The yellow card situation has been there for over 3-4 months. Eric Chell should have planned ahead for this particular game in terms of making sure that there is a suitable replacement for potential players who are at the risk of getting another yellow card. If you look at the body language of Eric Chell, if you look at what he has been putting out so far, you will discover that he has not prepared for that scenario. And this is where the technical department of the NFF comes in. What help as the technical department of the NFF? What help are they rendering to an Eric Chell? Based off the fact that Eric Chell has come out, that they've shut him out, nobody is talking to him, and that's an indication that they are just putting him up as they're just trying to place him as the fall guy for anything that goes wrong. I just hope Eric Chell is able to wiggle his way out of this situation, because the working condition at the moment is not ideal for any coach to succeed in. And if you want to trace it back, you want to blame anybody, we should be pointing the accusing fingers at the NFF.
Yeah, pointing the accusing fingers. But they will want to say that he chose the job. So, but yeah, he chose to take the job. But does that mean you have to make it more difficult for him to succeed and excel and get the results? Because right now we have 2 crucial qualifiers in a matter of weeks, and if that is the case, the NFF should be making sure that he has an enabling environment to succeed. Because if you take a look at it, the qualification for the World Cup is no longer in the hands of the Super Eagles. So any opportunities, any slacks, any loopholes will create more situations that will make sure that the team doesn't qualify. So why should be the NFF be the weapon fashion against the Super Eagles when they are supposed to be talking about the pipeline to make sure that everything works well for Eric Chell so that he can succeed?
Well, it's very simple. They've become weapon fashioned against Nigeria qualification for the World Cup since before Eric Chell's time. Remember, after the Nations Cup, they decided to fire Anose Parcero, somebody that took it to the final. Yes, the performance might not be fantastic. Parcero played negative football. However, the negative football got us to the Nations Cup final. Yes, I will raise up my hand. I was one of those that complained. Ose Parcero started this debacle of a World Cup qualifiers that were played, and that contributed to what was happening to the Super Eagles, the position we are. However, after the Nations Cup, we have not fallen far behind from our competitors, from the other countries in our group. We were supposed to have put our house in order, settle the issue of coach before the end of April. But we couldn't do that. We had Finidi George as an interim manager. We did not confirm him as a manager until 1 week before the game. Even after that, there was a whole lot of debacle in terms of how the NFF treated Finidi George. Yes, you might want to say Finidi George management is poor and the rest of that. However, the NFF also contributed to the failure of Finidi George. It took them another 8-9 months, it took another 11 months to be able to appoint a coach after dilly-dallying and deceiving Nigerians that they've appointed a coach and the rest of that. And now we are seeing the result. I think whatever is happening to Exchange and whatever it is that we are seeing now, it is what the NFF has engineered. It is what they have brought upon Nigeria for all these years, and we are seeing the result. The bottom line is this: until we have people who understand that football is actually big business and they are ready to put in the best to be able to get the best out of football, we'll continue to have this kind of discussion and this kind of situation we find ourselves in, which is so unfortunate. I will not be surprised if we do not make it to the World Cup, because I don't think we deserve a place in 2026 World Cup based on the preparation we put in so far.
All right. Okay. But you take a look at it. So let me just look at talking about the 35-man roster broadly, and of course that's it showing on your screen. And they talk about Ademola Lookman's fitness at issue. Samuel Chukwueze, we understand, is on his way to the Premier League, so he's joining a new club side. He might want to excuse himself from this game, or he might also come and be wary of getting injured and might be too careful. So we're going to be dealing with Victor Osimhen and who? Maybe Tolu Aroko-Dare, Cyril Dessers coming from the bench, and Terry Murphy, who is currently on form. Akol Adams is already out. So we're left with Samuel Chukwueze, Victor Osimhen, Cyril Dessers, and I don't want to count on Umar Sadiq, but Tolu Aroko-Dare. So we're just going to be like 4 to 5 attackers. So how powerful is this attack going to be? That's the big question, because that used to be the most important, I would like to say the best part of the Super Eagles. But right now, with what we're seeing going into those two games, I'm beginning to get more worried.
Well, definitely, Osimhen will play. I'll probably tip a Moses Simon to start. Should Eric Chell decide on Ademola Lookman and he deems him fit to be fit enough to play in those qualifiers, I think an Ademola Lookman will be starting. However, the important part of this puzzle for those three guys to be able to function very well will be the combination of, Alex Iwobi. I think Eric Chell will want to stick with the familiar name in the person of Wilfred Ndidi, but I would have preferred, he goes for probably a Frank Onyeka or Raphael Onyedika. However, I think he'll probably want to stick to a Wilfred Ndidi because of his longevity with the national team. Then I hope he goes with a Chrisantus Uche, because we need people that will be able to, we need somebody that can carry the ball and that can be able to create room for our attackers to have more space to work with. Also, the way he's going to deploy and Iwobi and Chrisantus will be very, very important in the performance of our attackers. We know definitely Victor Osimhen is a goal poacher any day, anytime. He's a goal poacher. Aroko-Dare has been, making a name for himself, has also been putting himself in the conversation. Anytime Aroko-Dare features for Nigeria, he's always there. He's always very impactful for the team. I think Aroko-Dare is making a case for himself to start. If we are able to get our midfield right, I think we are not short of talent in front of goal to score the goals. It's just for Excel to be able to pick the midfield appropriately and get the midfield playing. If the midfield plays very well, I think we will not have any issues dispatching the Rwandans.
Yeah, if we get our acts right, we should not have issues dispatching Rwanda. And of course, the Bafana Bafana of South Africa. Talking about the Bafana Bafana, the coach of the side, Hugo Broos, has unveiled his final squad for the Group C 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. And that's against that they take on Lesotho first before they take on the Super Eagles of Nigeria at home. And Bruce made the announcement as his team prepares for the two crucial fixtures at the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein. And of course, if that happens, it means that they'll be playing those two games on the same pitch because Lesotho does not have a FIFA standard pitch. So, so I don't know because I don't know how I feel about that. I'm surprised that it's still going to happen. So they'll be very comfortable playing their two matches. That one's supposed to be away, but they are playing two of them at home on the same pitch. So there is somehow an undue advantage for the South African side, Maiwa.
I think I'm so disappointed with CAF, and it doesn't make any logical sense. Yes, you will not want to blame CAF. CAF is not the reason why Lesotho does not have a certified stadium that they can play with. And if you also remember, Lesotho is more like a South African nation. It's more like South Africa because Lesotho is literally enclosed in South Africa. So I understand that. However, since both of them, are in the same group, it is not appropriate for South Africa to be playing home and away games on the same soil. It gives undue advantage, and I don't think it's ethical for CAF to have allowed it to fly. That's number one. Number two, during the draws, it is the responsibility of CAF to ensure this did not happen. How did this happen? I think we need to start asking the critical question. I hope it's not for the fact that, I remember, the current CAF president is from South Africa. I hope this is not an underhand tactics to ensure that South Africa makes it to the World Cup by hook or by crook, because it doesn't make any sense. You know the implication of allowing Lesotho to be in the same group with South Africa, and you decided to allow it fly. For the South Africans, I think they are going to give us a run for their money. But on a lighter note, I hope they have not listed an ineligible player again, because if they do that, we'll be standing somewhere to collect our 3 points. But it's going to be a very difficult game. I mean, the two games that they are playing is very, very important. If they win those two games, I think the World Cup ticket is done and dusted for them, and it will be South Africa in the World Cup and Nigeria thinking about 2030.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. So what's now the influence of Nigeria if South Africa gets this kind of advantage? And of course, if I want to look at the talking about the final squad, there's something peculiar about the South African team. Most of their players play in the PSL, so that means they understand themselves very well. And a large number of them play in the big club side, Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. And Mamelodi Sundowns is owned by the current CAF president, talking about Patrice Motsepe. So somehow I see a lot of undue advantage for the South Africans going into this game, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and of course against Lesotho, who will be playing their home game on the home pitch of an opponent who their 3 points is going to be given to them. So it's already looking like 3 points already guaranteed in that Lesotho game. Then maybe the Nigerian game, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be 50-50. That's if the Super Eagles are mentally ready.
The last 3 points that they lost, I think they are going to get it back. And sometimes again, and that's the reason why a whole lot of people do not take African continent seriously. If this were to be Europe, UEFA would have emphasized this, and they would have made the rule against this, that this will not happen. And that's the reason why a lot of people do not take CAF competition seriously and CAF generally seriously. There is no way this would have happened, in a federation that is well organized. CAF cannot feign ignorance that they don't know that this will probably happen if South Africa and Lesotho ever, play in the same team. I'll give you a typical example. The Nottingham Forest and Lyon, if I'm not mistaken, the owners of Nottingham Forest also own Lyon. And because of that, Nottingham Forest had to drop to the Conference League. Remember, there are two different, federations. The English Federation, the French Federation. However, because one of the owner has, a stake in Nottingham Forest and also in Lyon, Nottingham Forest had to drop down to the Conference League, giving the spot to another club. That shows equity and fairness. That shows that they don't want anything to cast aspersion or the integrity of the tournament. Now we have the qualification. The CAF president is from South Africa. Lesotho is literally a South African country. Is just an exception of South Africa. Yet two of them are in the same group. I don't think this sits down well with me. I think CAF needs to do better. They dropped the ball here, and I think Nigeria should explore the loophole and probably take them to CAS and probably protest, and let's see if we can get anything out from the protest. As regards the list and regards, the players, the list Hugo Bruce released, I mean, we've said it over and over again. South African League is number, apart from, maybe you remove Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco. I think apart from those countries, South Africa is also one of the countries that have their league well organized. If their league is very competitive, even our own number one goalkeeper, our own number one shot stopper plays in the South African League. And this is a testament that if you run the business of football very well, you will see the result. The MPFL has been in existence for over 35 years. I think our league, the MPFL rebranded in the early 90s, but we've been in existence in the late 70s. But we take it from the early from the 90s, over 35 years, and our league is still not being run properly. And that is the reason why we have to rely on foreign-born, Nigerians to come and represent us. Something that will never happen in South Africa because of how well their league is run. And because the league is run very well, a lot of investors are investing in that league. And that's the reason why, 95% of their players are from the, are from the South African League. I hope the NFF and the LMC can learn one or two lessons from this and probably go back to the drawing board and ensure that our league is much more competitive and much more lucrative, such that investors will come in and for us to be able to have a pipeline of players to the national team.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking because if you ask me, I think I will do an investigative report on how they came about 3 countries playing in the same World Cup qualifier group, and they were allowed to be playing in the same group, and they are using the same stadium to persecute their World Cup qualifiers. That's undue advantage. It doesn't happen anywhere. I've never seen that. How did they do the draws? And I think this is an oversight on the part of the NFF. That means they are just sitting down there answering NFF president and so on and so forth, and they are not doing the job. They are not playing the politics. I don't know whether other than Mark Jupinik, who I think he still has some bit of leeway around FIFA, though he lost his seat, himself should also be held accountable for not looking at this properly. So how did they maneuver it? Because Zimbabwe is also playing their home games in South Africa, as well as Lesotho. So you have already made sure that those points are guaranteed for South Africa. So what that means is that no matter what Nigeria even does, South Africa the road has been prepared for them to qualify for the World Cup.
Well, you will not blame Amadou Pinnick. Amadou Pinnick is not the NFF president. As far as I'm concerned, in as much as we all of you call the current president a figurehead, I think he's still the president and he should act like one. The thing is before the qualifier started, they should have started raising eyebrow. They never raised any eyebrow. And we were one of the first people to talk about this issue here. We were one of the first people. If this issue gained traction, it comes from BOP. And because it's very clear to the blind to see. I mean, it's very obvious. Zimbabwe does not have a stadium they play in. They play in the South African stadium, yet CAF allowed Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and South Africa to be in the same group. Somebody might come up and say the Benin Republic is a neighbor to Nigeria. However, Benin Republic is not playing in Nigeria. Benin Republic have their own stadium. Even some African countries were thinking of playing their qualifiers in Benin Republic. That shows how good their stadium is. The bottom line is I think, the mediocrity that comes with Africa organizing anything has reared its head, in this qualification. Another example of, how mediocrity is running things in Africa. Remember the CAF Player of the Year award that was hosted. It was this lady from CBS, I can't remember her name now, that hosts this Champions League game with Henry and the rest of them, that came to host an African award. When are we saying we don't have top quality host, top quality MC in Africa, that we decide to go and export somebody from outside Africa to host African award? It shows the level of, incompetency that's in CAF, and we are seeing it play out in this group. What the NFF needs to do, if there's anybody that has a right thinking cap in the NFF, is they have to protest, take this up with FIFA, take this up with CAS, and see whether we can get points via the boardroom because of the incompetencies of CAF and for allowing this to happen.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you, Mayo, on that one. That draw should be investigated, and questions need to be asked. The NFF should sit up and do what is needful. They should not sit idly by and allow the South Africans have undue advantage. Yeah, let it be fair and square. Are there not other countries that they would have paired alongside South Africa? Because we have a lot of countries who are playing the qualifiers. Why must it be Zimbabwe? Why must it be Lesotho? And why must they be allowed to play their home games in South Africa? It's uncalled for. That's not fair play. So it's undue advantage they've given already to the South Africans, and somebody needs to ask the questions. And that is why we are asking that CAF and FIFA, as most especially the NFF, needs to stand up and ask the right questions, and of course take this matter up with the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Ask FIFA and ask CAF what happened, why are they playing their games in South Africa. And of course, it's just like we have just done half of their job for them. It's now left for them to now take the bull by the horn and do something about it. Okay, let's talk about Wolverhampton Wanderers have pulled out of the move to sign Getafe midfielder Chrisantus Uche. And of course, the Premier League club reportedly offered £20 million for the Nigerian international. And according to a report, Wolves have decided to explore other options following complications on the side of the player. Wolves have decided to move on to other targets, having put an internal deadline on finishing the move. Complications on the player side delayed the deal, and Wolves have decided to explore other options. And the 22-year-old has registered 1 goal and an assist in 2 league games for Getafe this season. I think if Chrisantus Uche actually wanted this deal to happen, he would have done everything possible to make sure that it happens. But it seems like the player was not fully interested.
I think he's beginning to settle down in Getafe. He's beginning to enjoy himself in Getafe. He's beginning to enjoy, playing time. He was very instrumental in the first game of the season. 2 goal contributions, scoring 1, assisting 1. The last game, tried his best to could not pull through, and that shows the level of consistency. I think the coach is beginning to trust him, and for his age, he's showing a whole lot of maturity, controlling the midfield of Getafe. So I think, for me personally, in as much as the tempo of the EPL is where you want majority of your key players from the national team to play, I think it's better that he's staying back in Getafe. He has an opportunity to be able to build on that. I don't want a situation whereby they sign him at Wolves and he will be under unnecessary pressure. Let him enjoy his time at Getafe, develop more. His game still needs some polishing, and I think he will be able to do that with a Getafe team. That the pressure on them is not too much. The expectation is pretty low. So he will not be playing under undue pressure, and that will let him flourish with the Getafe team. I think he stays one season, polish his game, improve on his craft. Then maybe next season we start talking about top clubs in England, because Wolves, as far as I'm concerned, Wolves is not a top club in England. In as much as Wolves has been a bedrock for some major players, the likes of Diego Jota, Cunha, and the rest of that. They were once Wolves player, and they've been able to move to top club. Wolves is not a top team. If they get into any top anything, it's just by fluke. That's just the honest truth, because they are not consistently there at the top. So I think he should wait 1 more season, build his craft, do much more better, and probably get a bigger club in the EPL to look at him next season.
All right, definitely, it is a very, very mixed feeling situation for me as far as that one is concerned. I was looking forward to him playing for Wolves, but I was also worried the fact that how will he be living a Tafe where it looks like he's already established himself. He's playing big football with Tafe out there in the Spanish league. And I think making a bigger move would have made more sense to me. But Wolves is still a very decent team, but definitely it is what it is. All right, let's talk about what's happening at Old Trafford. Manchester United. I would have laughed like that skit maker used to do. And when he would just call the name Manchester United and laugh hilariously at just the mention of the club side, because Manchester United is a joke right now. Serious joke. It's a big joke for those who understand what Manchester United used to stand for. How did it get this bad, Maiwa?
Well, I think the thing is if you consistently do not put in your best over time, you are going to fall off, and that's just the honest truth. Since Alex Ferguson left, that's about 12 years ago, there has been a total decline. And even before Ferguson left, there has been a decline. I think Ferguson saw the decline. That was why he decided to hang the boat. Remember the scathing interview Ronaldo gave when he was leaving. The facilities are still the same thing for over 20 years. There has been no improvement of anything. There has been no changes. The culture in the club is no more. We have young players who do not embody the Manchester United culture. A whole lot of players at the moment, they wear the Manchester United jersey. If it were, 15, 17 years ago, those kind of players will never even be on the bench of Manchester United. That's how far Manchester United has fallen. I think what is happening right now is the result of bad planning and bad and mismanagement of the club for over the years, and that's the result we are seeing now. Also, the management has not helped. They keep on bringing managers that do not align with the philosophy of the club. A case in point started with David Moyes. David Moyes came, chased a whole lot of players away, changed the culture of Manchester United, brought in players that were not supposed to be a part of Manchester United team, and that's where the decline started. And they've recycled different coaches. They've not been able to get it right. What they need to do at the moment is they need to overhaul the total management running Manchester United at the moment. First of all, there's a need to get a proper management team that knows how to run football. I don't think the Ineos team, they still know how to run the football properly. I think they should look at the City project and copy the City project. We should not be ashamed to admit that City has been able to revolutionize football, and they've been able to put the right people in right places for things to work right. Another typical example, Liverpool too, they did it. Look at the result. Jurgen Klopp claim, and they changed those that are running football, and look at this one from the scouting team and signing and the rest of that, and we are seeing the result now. Manchester United needs to do the same thing. Before we go to the coach, we should first of all fix the boardroom. Then after then, look for a world-class coach, not a Ruben Amorim.
All right. No, a world-class coach, not a Ruben Amorim. Let's take a look at coaches that have taken over Manchester United since Alex Ferguson left. We've had, talking about David Moyes, who is currently the coach of, who has made a return to Everton. And we've had Jose Mourinho. Mourinho at the time was a world-class coach before he joined Manchester United. He had a Luis Van Gaal, who was fairly...
He was in decline. He was in decline.
Was he in decline?
He was in decline. He was out of the job for a very long time. He was in decline.
Yeah, he was still among the top coaches then. Yeah, was still a very top coach. Right now? That's why Manchester United wait for him. And he had Luis Van Gaal. Luis Van Gaal is a very top coach, well experienced, well versed. He understands the game.
He was in decline too.
He was in decline.
Where is Luis Van Gaal right now? Oh, yes, okay. He was in decline.
Okay. From there you went to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was a Man United legend. Yeah. And I think you also had, I'm trying to remember the England guy who stayed for a short while, before
I
Van
mean,
Nistelrooy also stayed a short while. And I think if they had given Van Nistelrooy the chance, maybe something different would have been better than what we're seeing with Amorim right now. And you also had Eric Ten Hag for a long time, thinking that he was going to, at least Eric Ten Hag before he came in was a top coach. Am I right? If I'm correct, because he was not in decline. He just did well with Ajax. He was doing well with
no,
Ajax before he got
I
in.
mean, if an slot could come from Dutch league and dominate the EPL, Ten Hag does not have any excuse, and that's just the honest truth. First season in the EPL, and the slot dominated and won. So I mean, Ten Hag should be a top coach, but he couldn't cut it at Manchester United. The thing is this: the system is rotting, and that is just the honest truth. The system is rotting. We need to change it. Another important thing is this: how many quality players does our academy produce? Where is the quality? Remove a Kobe Mino, remove Amad Diallo left and came back again. Apart from those people, Chido Obi is not playing regularly. Who are the academy player that is doing excellently well since Rashford came? He is far in between, and this was not the case when Alex Ferguson was there. So there is a need for a total overhaul. We are treating the symptoms. We are not treating the actual cause of the disease, and that's the reason why Manchester United is where they are at the moment.
Yeah, treating the symptoms, not treating. You treat the problem, not the symptoms. I didn't get that way. I think you're trying to say instead of treating this, going out to check what the problem is before you just start treating malaria because you have symptoms of malaria. Well, Manchester United is already making plans. We hear that they are preparing to sack Ruben Amorim. And according to sources within Ineos Group, who control the footballing side at Manchester United, there's a short list in place if they end up making the decision to sack Amorim. And of course, the two names that have popped up are Oliver Glasner and Andoni Iraola, along with others. Glasner is a winner. Yeah, he has done well with Crystal Palace. I think he also won, was it the Europa League with Stuttgart before he made the move?
Stuttgart, yes.
Yeah, before he came to Crystal Palace. And Andoni Iraola has done something fantastic with Bournemouth. He has made them a winning side, a good side, a decent side. But do you think these are not world-class coaches, Maiwa? It means like they want to plan small and prepare and start all over again. The reality of Man United is no longer the big club you used to know. Is that the reality now?
Well, we will not deceive ourselves. That's reality now. However, there is a particular Liverpool that went for an slot. And by our standard, you will not call an slot before the Liverpool job a world-class coach. The Dutch league, is fairly competitive, but I mean, you will not call the Dutch league a world-class league. But an slot came, and he showed the class he had, and look at the result. So I mean, if we are looking at world-class coach, yes, those coaches, because of what they have done so far, you might not want to call them that. However, remember, Glasner is an European title winner. He might not be the Champions League, but he has won something in Europe. And again, the FA Cup that nobody gave them any shot at, he won it. The Community Shield that has been passing around the top six, he played a Liverpool side, and he won that particular tournament. It shows the kind of quality the coach possesses. To be honest, I think Manchester United has done way bad than the way they performed under a Ten Hag. How do you play 30 games? You lost 18, win 7, and draw 12. You should be fired from your job, and I think the board is very correct. I'm calling it. The next 2 games will determine if Ruben Amorim will remain as Manchester United coach or not.
All right. The next 2 jobs, okay? I don't know what you apply it to see, because I remember
the next two games.
I remember one politician said you will see spirits if you try to investigate or try to find out something. He was telling a governor who was coming in and talking about the former one that he should not investigate. If you want to find out, you will see spirits. I don't know whether it's the word I want to use now. Because whatever you want to see, it's not going to be funny, it's not going to be palatable, because this team doesn't look like anything is going to come out. But you had Buemo, Sesko. He spent a lot of money buying players, and he chased away a lot of players who were doing fairly well. And all the players cannot be bad all of a sudden. And Ruben Amorim is the only sense. At the point, he was playing with something like it's called the chessboard. Was it chessboard? I was asking myself, what's wrong with Amorim? How is he not going to having a better breakdown?
Well, I mean, it's enough for him to have mental breakdown. How do you play Grimsby and you are losing 2-0? And you said something that's very, very important. Chase the way players, and those players became a key player. Sancho won Conference League with Chelsea. Anthony
went to the final
Conference League with Real Betis. Scott McTominay won the league. So how come those players left Manchester United and they become very great and very important in their team? Ruben Amorim has a man management problem and is very stubborn. And also, I don't think he's tactically sound to take Manchester United forward. And we are seeing the result. How do you lose to Grimsby Town? There is no excuse for it. I think Ruben Amorim, after the next few games, if the result does not improve, he should be fired.
All right. Thank you very much, Maiwa. It's been awesome having you. And to our viewers, those who are watching us on LCL TV, thank you very much. Big thanks as well to those on YouTube who are also dropping their comments. I want to acknowledge Christopher Edem, who's watching us from Borno State. We appreciate you. And of course, those who are asking for the final list, the 35-man roster is out. The final list is not yet out. Talking about whether it's going to be 25 or 23, we'll know by next week. So we'll update you with that. And some Nigerians are not happy on the chat session saying, how come South Africa is having a due advantage? So fortunate. But we'll keep hammering on that and make sure that those who need to know and do something about it. Thank you very much, Maiwa. Au revoir. Big thanks to the guys behind the scene for making sure the show is great. My name is Jerry Apelo. I say stay safe, and if not to it at all, do it the sport way.